Good evening. This is HJT Views on Current Affairs, an issue which is generating a lot of momentum and also generating a lot of controversy is the issue of proposed privatization of two public sector banks. It would be interesting to go through the past few months on this topic. The government of India has merged several banks on the benchmarks of presence in areas, geography, systems integration, and many other parameters on which to decide which bank merges with which bank. Well, the mergers are done. We will really know only over a period of time how successful or unsuccessful they have been. But at the present moment, certainly, it looks that the banking sector is slowly coming out of the troubles that it was having of NPAs, etc. We will know only in the next 2 years whether the benefits will sustain themselves and we can take things forward from here. My talk of today is restricted to the proposed privatization of some two banks, the names of which are still not declared because the requisite committees and cabinet have not cleared them. But there is definitely a feeling that two banks, which today have not been merged, will be privatized. I have no issues with privatization per se. However, my personal feeling is that instead of going through the process of privatization, it would help if the government were to consider a further merger of banks with other banks. What India requires are three or four strong public sector banks with presence, strong presence in all parts of the country. We have to understand that banking in India, from a consumer viewpoint, is still extremely inaccessible. Even today, there are people who are not having the opportunity of approaching a bank. I'm aware that the digital transformation that is happening is aiding a lot on financial inclusion. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt. However, one must understand that if financial inclusion has been a success in India through the JAM Trinity, and that is Jan Dhan accounts, Aadhaar, and mobile combination, it is due to the efforts of the public sector banks. It is not due to the efforts of the private banks. In fact, one would say that the Jan Dhan accounts integration and the DBT, the direct benefits transfer that is happening, have been worked on by the public sector banks and not by the private sector banks. If this program of the government has been a success, and it has been a roaring success, it is due to the public sector banks. To that extent, my personal feeling is that instead of going the route of privatization and raising the objections and the unions issues, etc., it would help if the government were to consider another round of mergers and just create 3 or 4 big public sector banks from the 14 or 18 that were there earlier. It would help a lot. And unions today, let's be clear, unions have seen that mergers are working and in fact are proposing against at what was 2 years back that do a process of merger with of PSUs, but don't do the process of privatization. Privatization will create culture conflicts. Public sector banks and private sector banks, all said and done, do have their cultural way of ethos change. It may not be possible always to have a successful transformation of human thinking to move from a PSB into a private bank. It may not be. It is quite possible. Some people will make it, some people may not make it. But it creates a lot of confusion for the next 18 to 24 months. And if we can avoid that confusion by looking at mergers and not by looking at privatization, I think it would be an interesting thing to do. It would be the right thing to do. And it would help everybody concerned in strengthening the Indian banking structure. India's banking structure, as we know over the last 3, 4, 5 years, has really been through a lot of pain. It's been a lot of pain of NPS, it's been a lot of pains of government funding. It's gone through the ringer, one can say. Today, it seems that we are now coming out of trouble. It seems that we are seeing better things happening. This is the time to go through another round of merger and ensure only 3 to 4 large public sector banks survive. That's all for my talk of today. I hope you are liking it. If you like it, please do share with your friends, addresses, colleagues, groups, etc. Till my next talk, have a good day. Bye. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra, Jai Mumbai. Have a good day.